Hello, everyone, and welcome to RWB Sports. This is Reginald Peoples here. We have an opportunity today to be able to speak to one of the 20th century's most renowned strength and conditioning coaches. Not only a strength and conditioning coach, but he is also a motivational speaker. You have seen him all through social media. He's putting out memes for positive thoughts, positive attitude, and it's a mindset. And I just want to welcome him, and I want everybody to welcome this young man. It's his coach, Larry Wade. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, thank you for having me. First of all, am I paying you for that compliment and saying using the word young? Because I got so much gray on my chin. I don't know if people believe that, but I do. I am happy to be here, though.
No, there's no monetary exchange anywhere in there. I just call them like I see them. You're out there in the field doing great things with
Thank
great
you.
athletes. You have come up and you have come out.
Yeah.
I saw you on Mill City
Yeah.
doing an interview with them, and I was like, you know what? I said I watched this guy, I followed this guy. I said I got to get there, and I got to talk to him personally myself.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to reach out. What people don't realize is what we do is hard and it's challenging, and we may be put on TV, we may be put on the internet, but we're just like everybody else. We get up every morning, put one leg in our pants at a time, one shoe at a time, and we have the same issues that anyone would have. So when someone reaches out to me, I always look at it as an honor that they think enough of me to reach out. And if I don't get back to you like immediately, I'll always get back just because I value people taking their time to try to talk to me and me having the desire to want to talk to them as well.
Right. And I greatly appreciate that because I know you're extremely busy. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. That way we can go ahead and get things rolling. We're going to start off because what you're known for is your strength and conditioning. I know that you have just recently worked with Jake Paul, getting him ready.
Correct.
I know one of my close acquaintances that you work with and got him ready for the Anthony Durrell fight was Caleb Plant.
Correct.
You
Correct.
picked him back up after his loss against Canelo
Right.
Alvarez. You brought him back to victory status and getting the knockout of the year
Yeah, he did. He got the
with
knockout of the
Anthony
year.
Durrell,
He sure did.
and you're still going. You're still
Yeah.
going. So let's let the fans know. Let the fans know who Coach Larry Wade is. Just talk about. Let them know who you are.
Well, here's the thing. I've been in the sport for quite some time. I've had right now I have 14 world champions belts that I've been part of, and I've won a belt, I think almost one every year, if not two, for the last 10 years. And I got started with a guy named who are boxing fans. You definitely would know this guy, Sean Porter, who's a
Yes,
multiple time world champion. I got
yes.
started with him over 10 years ago, and I was actually with him for 9 years until he retired. And his dad, Kenny Porter, is the one who actually got my attention and asked me if I wanted to be part of their camp. And so from that point forward, it became so exciting to me because my true background before that was track and field. I was
Okay.
a high school, college, and pro track and field athlete. As a matter of fact, I'm inducted into the Hall of Fame for it. And
Nice.
so I was doing that. So when I retired from competing, I started training, and I started training track first, like anyone else. And then I found myself within the first 3 years, I had a gold medal, two silver medals, and a bronze medal at the world championship with my athlete. And they also broke the world record in like 2 years. So I ended
Wow.
up having a lot of success really early. And then that success gave me an opportunity to start training guys in the NFL, getting them ready for combines, things of that nature, would transition me into the NBA. And then it just so happened that I found myself in Las Vegas at the track at UNLV.
Okay.
At that time, my wife Yvonne was working there as the head coach. And I was there at the track, and I saw Sean Porter running around the track with his dad, Kenny Porter. Now, at that time, I didn't know who the hell Sean Porter was.
Right.
I had no idea. He looked like a running back to me. So,
Right.
okay,
Well,
I might get talk to that guy.
Right.
And so Kenny Porter brought me in and was asked me if I wanted to be part of it. And I was like, I've never been to camp. I don't want to take a chance on ruining this guy's career. And
Right.
he says, no, you won't be responsible for that. Can you get guys in shape? I said, that's what I do for a living. And his statement was, come to the gym every day for free and learn. And so I did that. I got in that camp. I went at the gym every day for free. He did pay me for 2 sessions a week with strength conditioning, but all the time I spent in the gym every day was just about me learning more about the sport for free. I
Right.
did that. 4 months later, Sean Porter becomes world champion. And
Wow.
I still didn't come back, still went to the gym for free for another year, almost a year and a half, before I felt comfortable enough to be able to say I'm ready to charge someone, because it's a learning process. And I needed to go through that in order for me to get to, where I'm at right now in life. So that's kind of how I got started. After Sean Porter, there was Badu Jack. Badu
Okay.
Jack guy came and I won a few world titles with him. And right after uh, Badu Jack, it was Caleb Plant came right after that. Actually, I was training Badu at the same time when I received Caleb Plant. But the thing that
Okay.
was great about Caleb for me was Sean was already semi-established. He was 1 or 2 fights away from a title.
Mm.
Badu was already established. Caleb hadn't got to that point yet. And I wanted to be part of that journey. I wanted to be part of that journey because I felt like the kid, well, can't say kid, he's a grown man, but when you my age,
Right.
everybody's a kid to us.
Right.
But when he came to me at that point, he wasn't at a world championship level yet. He wasn't at the title yet, right?
Right.
And so I was grateful that I had a chance to work with him, and I wanted to see if I could be part of building someone else to get to that belt that wasn't quite there. And
Wow.
so he invited me into the camp. We were able to be together. I think we've been together now 6 years. And I think less than 2 years after I got with him, he won a world title.
Yes, he
And
did.
so that was been the huge blessing as far as this whole thing is concerned. And so what I did from that point is said, okay, listen, you have a purpose here, you have a place here, and we do our best to try to, fill that place with positivity, with knowledge, with information, with experience, and hopefully get these young men and women to become the very best version of themselves.
Right. That's amazing. That's amazing. And that's one of the things that I picked up in following you on social media and all your positive, you know, speech that you put out there. It's actually helped motivate me to continue doing what I'm doing in journalism and in the boxing world. It's funny when you mentioned that you got your start with Sean Porter.
Mm-hmm.
We have something in common because after I retired from boxing, I'm originally from Nashville, Tennessee,
Okay, so
and so
that's the Caleb
I
Plant connection for sure.
yes, retired, and I got with Prize Fight. And I don't know
Yeah.
if you know Mike Lampley and
Yep.
those guys with Prize Fights.
Right.
Sean Porter got his start with Prize Fights there
Yeah.
in Tupelo, Mississippi, fighting
Mm-hmm.
at the Fitzgerald. And
Yep.
so we used to go down there and watch him before he even became a champion. It was
Right.
you know, like 3-0 at the
Yeah.
time. And so
Right.
when you said that, I was like, wow, we have a journey that pretty much,
Yeah.
follows each
We
other.
got a lot of people who cross over for sure.
Yes, yes.
But in
And
this
that's
world,
pretty
though,
cool.
first of all, the world is not as big as what people think it is. But secondly, whenever you're trying to do something at a very high level, a very acute point where very few people pass, you're going to always cross paths with these type of individuals because we're all shooting to be the very best in what we do.
Yes,
So when you got a bottleneck of success, we, the greatest of the great always cross each other at some point. So we were
yes.
both blessed with opportunities to be able to see the Porters.
Yeah, and that's a blessing in itself. That's a blessing in itself. Well, I mean, I was happy to get that information because it lets me know that, we have a few more ties there than, just
Absolutely.
this interview. As a coach, and I'm talking about strength and conditioning now. What is your experience on implementing techniques and styles in athletes? Like you said, you've gone from track and field to
Right.
baseball to professional basketball to boxing. In each one of those sports, they're the same, but they're different.
Absolutely.
You
Well,
know.
here's the first thing that got, just so you'll understand, get clarity in who I am and what I do.
Uh-huh.
Track and field is a sport where size matters. You
Okay.
have to be able to be explosive. You have to be able to be powerful. You have to be able to be strong. You have to be able to be conditioned. You have to be able to have a full, complete body to do whatever it is you do. That was the quote unquote initial intro into me understanding or having an understanding of what the body can and cannot do. But of course, like everyone else, and I suggest that everyone goes to some type of level of certification in regards to understanding strength conditioning, whether it's ACE, ISA, ISSA. There are a number out there that'll help you get a little bit more of a foundation.
Right.
When I went to get my certification, it was more so that I could say, hey, I have the experience, I've been certified by entity. But the reality of it is the things that you need to learn come from your experience and your ability to put yourself in that space and deal with that type of athlete. So when I first started getting into boxing, this is why it was a blessing for me. I took a lot of that knowledge I had along
Mhm.
with my education because I went to Texas A&M University.
Okay.
I took a lot of that knowledge, and then I was able to get experience through going to all these different gyms from at the time, which was the Hit Factory in Las Vegas. That's what Devin Haney's gym used to be,
Mhm.
to Floyd Mayweather's gym at that time, to City Boxing, where a lot of other athletes trained as well. And I was able to go around the city of Las Vegas and meet all these top fighters from Badu Jack to Floyd Mayweather to Jellion Love to anyone that's been a top fighter was in there, and I got to see them spar. I got to see them fight.
Right.
But more importantly, what I got to see is you see all these different coaches, and you see all these different body types,
Mhm.
and some of these guys are successful, but they're not all doing the same thing. And so you have to be able to figure out what is it in that coach and that athlete that makes them successful. What is it that you see that may be different from this other coach? And what it really boils down to, there's really a science behind it, but to just make it very general, styles are always what makes fights, and every athlete is different. And so you have to train the body according to the body type, whether it's ectomorph, mesomorph, or endomorph. They're
Right.
the three body types. And then you have to then figure out what's their normal aerobic / anaerobic disposition, which basically means genetically how they were born. Are they predisposed to being able to run long distance or short distance? Now, a lot of that
Okay.
also is tied to the body type in theory, but you get people who are like Tyson Fury, who I consider to be outliers, where they can have the same energy system as someone who is a much smaller guy. Everybody's not the
No.
same. So hopefully that didn't get too in depth or too
No. But
extreme, but that's really what it boils down to.
that information right there, and it'll take me on to my next question, because you have a lot of young, I guess, conditioning coaches out here,
Yes.
that are doing, just what you're doing on the beginning level.
Right.
And this is going to, because I know they're going to watch it and it's going to be very informational to them. What kind
Right.
of advice would you give someone? Because you broke it down like Einstein, you know.
It's so crazy because sometimes when I'm talking to my friends, they sit back and they look at me like, "What? Are you
Yeah.
crazy?" I just ruined the whole mood of this shit. They just want to talk about the basic fight that they saw on TV, and I'm breaking it down scientifically, and they're like, "You just ruined it. You just ruined the fun." I'm like,
Yeah.
so what I would do is first start out with the motivational side. If you love it and you like it, you're interested in it, commit to it, and I promise you, it's gonna pay off. You just got to take your time. Don't be afraid if you started late. Don't be afraid if you're moving slow. Just keep moving, and
Right.
eventually you're gonna get to where you want to be. That's the motivational side. From the business side, first of all, I would say, depending if you didn't have an athletic background, if you did not come from a specific sport, you definitely got to get a certification of some sort to kind of help you get a general idea of what to expect.
Right.
Secondly, put yourself in a position where you can either do an internship or you get a mentor that has the ability to provide information through their experience to help expedite your ability to get to the top. Thirdly, stay in that gym. Stay in that gym. Keep your ears open, keep your eyes open, pay attention to people being successful, pay attention to people who are not being successful. You can learn from both.
Yes.
If you really want to be great at this thing, this is what you have to do, and that's what's going to be expected. When I started working with the Porters, I was 38 years old, a wife, 2 kids, a house, and a car, and wasn't making no real money.
Right.
I'm volunteering. So you're talking about 4 hours a day free.
Right. Yeah, but you
I
had the
got
heart.
bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got bills to pay like everybody else, but I wanted it, and I was so excited for it, and I was grateful that they gave me the opportunity, and so I took that. I took that opportunity, and it put me in a space where I'm able to actually, get a lot of top end fighters, blessed to be with those guys, and actually make it decent money.
Wow. Yeah, and that's nice. I mean, because it's going to make me. It's taking me to my next question. Is because right now what you just said, I mean, it's got me hyped over here. You know what I'm saying? Once a fighter, always a fighter. Once an
Right.
athlete, always an athlete. And you
Right.
sitting over here talking, and you making me want to come out of retirement. You know?
Hey, trust if you're anything like me, once you get out there and move around a little bit, you remember why you retired the first time.
Yeah.
I'm training these young guys all the time, and sometimes I get a little, what you call a little spunky, and I like, nah, I don't want no problems. I don't want no. I'm gonna sit over on the sideline. Nah, I'm good.
Now, which came first? Let me ask you that. Which came first? Because you're a great motivational speaker. Like I said, anybody that listens to your speech on social media, they cannot not be motivated by it. So what came first? Did the strength and conditioning come first, or was the motivational?
I never thought about that question. I'm gonna say, dang, that was a good question. They go so hand in hand with me, right? So
right.
I'm gonna say the motivating side came first because my father was always a great motivator to me. When I first started competing, he was involved, but more importantly, he just kept me motivated and staying positive. And I wasn't always the best at first. I had to kind of grow and develop. It took me some years. I was a late bloomer, but he kept me engaged, and he kept me to be semi-exciting and accepting of not always winning, but learning how to, evolve through it. And so I would say the motivation part came first.
Okay.
I was before the strength conditioning, but I will say this. Sean Porter said something to me, and I don't even know why. God moves me however he moves me.
Yeah.
But when I was with Sean Porter for a while, I don't know, maybe 2-3 years in, and we were doing an interview at MGM Grand. I want to say it before the Adrian Bronner fight, and there were some reporters asking about Sean working with me, and they were like, "Hey, Sean, how you feel about this guy, Larry Wade? He's your strength conditioning coach. He's a great trainer, and give us a little word about him." And Sean gave me this. He was like, "He's okay." And I'm sitting beside him, and I'm like, "Okay, not that he owes me anything. I'm just listening." Right. And then the guy went on like, "No, I really know Coach Wade. He's a positive person. He works hard. He's motivated, blah, blah. Isn't it great to have a guy like that in your camp?" And Sean hit him with, "Wade is good, but ain't nothing I ain't never done before." Now I'm looking at Sean crazy, like, what? He trying to talk bad about me? What are we doing?
On national TV?
But then he followed it up with what I consider to be the truth. He says he's a great strength conditioning coach, but that's not what makes him special. He said, what makes Wade special is he has the ability to make us feel like we can do anything. Wow. That we can run through a brick wall.
Wow.
That's really what his key is. He's a great coach, but when he makes you believe you can win, when he makes you believe that you can be great, there's no price tag for that.
No.
And so when he sat back and he said that, I was still a little shook when he said the first time, but it made perfect sense. And I believe that it's a big part of what it takes to be successful no matter what. If you got a team, you got to have somebody that's going to always be on your side, someone always going to have your back, always keep you encouraged when you get discouraged. You need that. Wow. You really need that. And if you don't have that, because it's not easy work, it's grueling work. Those guys are working their butt off. It's not easy work. So some days you get tired.
Right.
Sometimes you get fatigued mentally. And you need the guys sometimes to be like, hey, you're going to be all right. Let's keep going. We good.
Okay.
And that little bit of hope keeps you going.
Now, I got to ask you this question because in saying that, and in Sean Porter saying that about you, motivating people to be able to, just run through brick walls. And I can see that just by talking to you. I can see that. Now, and I'll keep referring back to Plant because he's a Nashville guy. He's my guy.
Yes.
Uh, he came off I won't say it was a disappointing loss because he fought his heart out when he fought Canelo. But he came off a loss against Canelo. And I know Plant, he's never really down on himself. He takes that as, a stepping stone and a learning thing.
Right.
How did you get him motivated enough and get him back to being sweet hands in order to get knockout of the year? I mean, because I was at that fight, actually.
Right.
I was at that fight.
Well, the thing about Caleb is Caleb's already self-motivated. He's a guy that you don't have to really press to do that. He's been that way from the very beginning. So that's never been an issue. As a matter of fact, that's how Caleb and I got started. When he came to me, he was fighting super middle. And so Badu Jack. Badu Jack was the WBC world champion at super middle.
Right.
And I was kind of questioning if I wanted to take Caleb because I didn't want to have a conflict of interest with those two guys having a fight. And so Badu was like, yeah, just take him. I don't have a problem because I'm moving up anyway. And I was kind of like, I don't know. But we ended up working it out, right? But the funny thing is how we got started is he was at the track. He was dating one of my athletes, Jordan,
Okay.
who's a wife now.
Yes.
And he came to the track and he basically said, I need to train him. And I'm like, okay, why? Kind of attitude. And he looked at me like I was small. He was looking at me like,
that's
and I'm
Caleb.
like, I'm 6'2.5", 230 pounds.
Right.
Not a little guy.
Yeah.
He looked at me like I was small, and he said to me with the utmost confidence, because I'm going to be a world champion. And I stepped back, and I was like, this kid wasn't even afraid of me.
Yeah.
He looked at me like I was small, and then he was stern in his belief that, hey, I'm going to be a world champion. How can you not want to work with that guy, right?
Yeah, he's always been that way.
And
Ever since he was in the amateurs, he's always been that way.
Like, all right, let's get it. And so we ended up working together. And then, 2 years later, I think it was, he became world champion. Wow. And now he's a household name in the sport of boxing.
Wow. I would love to sit and watch a fight with you just to see,
Absolutely.
How
well, let's see if I'm not working, because I'm always working them. But
exactly.
If I'm not working, you definitely got it.
I'm the same way. I'm always working. But to sit down and analyze a fight with you just to see
we can do that without being actually at the fight.
Huh?
We can do that without actually being at the fight.
Right, correct.
We can do it on the video, for sure.
We can do it via video,
to
just analyze it, and watch it just to see how you would break down, a title fight or just a regular fight, period. Now, going into the lab, sitting in at the drawing board, how do you plan, or how do you put together on the boxing side of it a boxing strategy for your athlete? Because I know all fighters are different,
Well, what typically happens, if this is how I move, and for every young trainer, I want you to hear me this. I want you to hear what I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
If you're a strength conditioning coach for boxing, your first priority is to make sure, one, the athlete's secure. Your second priority is to follow the direction of the lead trainer. Period.
Okay. Period.
It's not your job to come up with the game plan and how the fight's going to be fought. That's the plan. That's the direction of the lead trainer. Your responsibility is to be able to be the support in regards to the assistant and being the assistant in the camp. Whatever the coach wants to see accomplished, you want to help him get that done. Because too many trainers I see get out there and then they want to become the trainer. No, there's only going to be one head of the ship. Whoever that lead trainer is, that's the person who's coming up with the game plan. So if he's telling me, hey, listen, I need this guy to be explosive, more explosive this camp, then I work on the things that make him explosive. Now, that does not mean I don't look at the opponent and figure out the things he can and cannot do. I'll give you a prime example. When Paulo Malignaggi moved up to 47, he fought, I forgot where he fought. I think it was in New York. And we went up there, Sean Porter and Kenny Porter and I, we went to the fight to watch it. We watched the fight. And I was like, oh, okay, I see what needs to be done to win this fight. It was right before Sean's fight, right after Sean's fight, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
And Even also when he went to fight Danny Garcia, we wouldn't watch Danny fight. I watched Danny from the waist down the entire fight just so I could see what his footwork was like.
Okay.
Because once I was able to see the footwork, then I can be able to tell Sean, well, he doesn't, whenever he's doing his hook, his blind hook, what is it called? People see he's known for that blind hook, knocking people out. And I was like, Sean, whenever he throws that punch, he has to roll from the heel to toe. So when you see him step with the heel of his toe, step back, I'll slide to the side because he can't throw it then. So I've seen that just based on the behavior.
Right.
It's not necessarily I came up with a game plan because I didn't, but it was a matter of just looking at the behaviors athletically, what the other fighter can do or can't do, and also preparing my athlete to be as fit, strong, explosive, and as mobile as he needs to be to win that particular fight. Training does change though based on who's standing in front of us.
Exactly. And that breaks it down and makes it so simple. And I'm hoping that, several people and several trainers out there watch this interview, because you're absolutely right. There's only one head of the ship, and too many people try to step on toes and try to step over, and that basically confused the fighter.
It does. Yeah. And it creates a certain level of not only confusion, but you start to become insecure. You start to lose confidence in what you're doing. If everybody's on the same page, right or wrong, the athlete's still going to have confidence, and they're going to go into the fight strong. And let me say this to young trainers too, and I know I'm running out of time. If you want to start it over, we can. But
okay,
trainers, listen. If you want to be great at what you do and you want to be consistent, you have to come up with a plan and a test of evaluating your athlete first to determine how you develop an athlete up to be great or elite in whatever division they're in. So when you get sick in the doctor, you go to the doctor's office, and the doctor does what? He gives you a blood pressure cuff on you. He checks your heart rate. He sees if you got temperature. And then he starts to ask you questions about the symptoms you have, right? You tell him, hey, I'm coughing, his eyes watering, and then he uses his education and our experience to come up with a diagnosis of what he thinks you have. You say, you know what? You just got hay fever, or you got allergies. Here's a prescription. Go pick this up at this medicine at the pharmacy. Good. That doesn't mean he's right, but what that does mean is he's using the things that you've told him to kind of come up with an idea how to fix the problem. There's too many trainers now that can look at a person's body and say, oh, I know what he needs. No, you don't. That's like looking at a car and saying if the motor's good without even driving it. You never know. You have to do a testing system. So I have a testing system which I use in order to be able to determine how much time I need to get a guy ready for a camp. And I test his aerobic system. I test his anaerobic lactic system, his ATP system. I test all the systems. And then I do a balance test, equilibrium test. I also do other strength and conditioning type tests to come up with an idea of what I think we need to do, be ready for this camp. I also can tell you how many weeks I need to be ready.
Wow. You got it down to a science. And we're going to have to do a part 2. I can't let it go just like this. So I'm going to sign off and get ready to come back. So
I'll be here.
If you have any thing you want to say, any shout outs to anybody like that before we go down, but I want everybody to stay tuned, because there will be a part 2 and we'll be right back. I'll let you close this one out.
I'm going to say, listen, everybody who's watching this, thank you guys for watching. Listen, I'm so grateful that you guys are taking the time to listen to what we have to say. And I promise you, if you chime in for part 2, I have even more valuable and also juicy information for you. Please come back.
Hey, this is Reginald Peoples with RWB Sports and my guy, Coach Larry Wade. Hey, don't go nowhere. We'll see you in the turn. We'll be right back.